fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social, in association with Empire Fight Store, houseofboxing.com. Always a pleasure to be joined by Jamie Conlan. Jamie, before we start, how's things, matey?
All good, mate. All good. Can't complain.
Good stuff. Well, look, we're less than a month away now from a huge night in Belfast. The return of Michael Conlan against Jordan Gill with a stacked undercard. Let's just talk a little bit about this undercard before we come on to the main event. There's some unbelievable fights on it from top to bottom. I was just looking at it again today. Tyrone, McKenna on it, Caoimhin, Agyarko, Troy Williamson. How pleased are you with how this sort of cards come together and your working relationship with Matchroom?
Very pleased because it's getting to show some high quality operators from Belfast and being able to showcase their skills and showcase their talents on a platform like the Zone and working with Matchroom and giving that big PR machine that they have to really profile themselves there and grow themselves and really it's give everyone an opportunity here to go out and put themselves on the next level. Sean will come against Sam Maxwell as a fight that I don't think either of them seen coming. They live together, they ate together, they train together, they slept in the same bloody room at times, up in Glasgow, and then neither they're rivals, neither they're on the opposite side of the ring, so they helped each other out for a good few years, and neither they're having to fight at a real crossroads fight. Maxwell coming off a loss, the Dalton Smith. Sean McCombs has been rebuilding since the Gavin Gwynn loss and is on the verge of probably bigger things and is chasing the Dalton Smith. But if he can't get past Sam Maxwell, then it's not there. And for me, Tyrone McKenna and Lewis Crocker is fireworks, man. It's fireworks.
Before we go any further, that fight, because that fight got announced before Mixon versus Jordan, I was like, just take my money. That is going to be some fight. No matter what happens in that fight, that is literally value for money, isn't it?
Yeah, but like that. The thing was, we were going to go ourselves just with a show with that, with that kind of fight. We had done that fight before. We had done Michael and Jordan Gill, and I'd said to Frank Smith about Matchroom taking it and the Zone taking it. You don't have anything that day, and then it said, "Listen, we're interested in going with Michael that day. That's the day we'd like to go with Michael." So we kind of it all merged into one. But like Tyrone McKenna has always been a cult hero in Belfast. Has always been in fights that should have been easy. He came hard, but even the harder fights he made even harder. So he's that kind of like warrior. Never in a dull fight, never in a dull build-up, has fought anyone that you kind of mention, has had domestic battles, has had big fights against Jack Cadwell, Reeves, Prograis. He's went above and beyond in fights like the legs of the Cadwell fight, but it's just, you just never, well, you always know what you're going to get, but you just never get an easy night with Tyrone McKenna. On the flip side, Lewis Crocker has been
flying,
building his career, yeah, flying, man. But like even as a 16-year-old kid, he was putting people to sleep when no one else was doing it. Like on the amateur scene here, he's always known as like highly regarded as like a massive puncher and potential as the next guy to really step in to carry the flag here for Belfast boxing. But he's not had a Tyrone McKenna kind of fight. He's not had someone who's going to take it on the chin and then say, what the fuck else have you got? He's not had someone who's going to really get in your face before the fight. He's not had someone who's berating you on social media, who's kind of dragging you into this kind of messy, angry kind of man. So this is the one. And it's a fight that you go, right, if he's not ready and if he isn't what we all think he could be and is, he's going to get found out against Tyrone McKenna, because Tyrone McKenna is a guy who will exploit you, who will expose your weaknesses, who will drag you in the deep water and drown you. But the flip side to that is Lewis Crocker is dynamite. I've never seen someone hit as hard as he hits, and when you hear it in the gym, you go, what? And you just you know this guy is legit. And when I'd seen him against Louis Green, was his first kind of phasing in process to seeing how, like, what is there. It was the first step, and Harry handled that was unbelievable, and then he had fought an Armenian Spanish guy, Herzegovian, in the Ulster Hall, and we give him a headline, like let him headline a small venue like the Ulster Hall, and Harry would handle that, and he took it flying. But then he had a bit of a setback and was changing trainers, and we had a year out basically of not fighting, and just a terrible year. And we brought him back, relocated with Billy Nelson, has had 3 small build-up fights, and now this is the big one. This is the opportunity. This is the one that will prove, is Lewis Crocker ready to do what he's going to do, or is Tyrone McKenna ready now to say, I'm the headliner in the city. I'm not a cult figure. I'm not an undercard fighter, and I'm the main man in the city.
Right. Such a good fight. When I saw that getting made, regardless of what this main event is, I was just like, wow, that could. Yeah. You, like you just said there, you know what you're going to get with Tyrone. There'll be blood and guts, but it's what level of the scale it'll go to. And with Lewis Crocker who's coming through, it's like this could be anything. And on top of that, you've got Caoimhin, Agyarko, Troy Williamson. Just give me thoughts on that, because we've seen some good cards over the years in Belfast. Many, obviously, the last couple of years put on by yourselves, Conlan Boxing. But this is a special card, isn't it? That's a great.
Like Caoimhin and Troy was a fight you didn't know you needed until you actually it's got to this point. It's the closest fight, I think, in the bookies as well. It's a real pick and fight. It's a 50-50 fight for various different reasons. And the fact that the build up on it, whereas it seems like, you know, Hearn and everyone in boxing was saying Caoimhin didn't want the fight except for Caoimhin. And Troy is going, I needed the fight, I want the fight, I've accepted the fight, accept the fight, and calling them out on Twitter, and it just perked up everyone's intrigue. Yeah. And now he's took it, and he's probably took it at the best time. And whether this was their ploy or not, like, it's worked out in Caoimhin's favour to get a chance to come to Belfast, to fight in Belfast, to fight on such a big bill in Belfast, and with the crowd that Mick brings in. Yeah. He's going to have a real opportunity to put his flag in the mast here for Belfast, to say, like, this is a town, this is a city that should be having big time boxing 2-3 nights a year, and with fighters the likes of Caoimhin, the likes of Michael, the likes of Lewis and Tyrone, we have fighters who, if one is injured or one is just fought, another one can step in their place and continue this road show. So Troy Williamson is not an easy night's work. Again, he is a fighter that if you're not there or not ready to be there, he will exploit it. Mm-hmm. He impresses me every time because of what he does and what he brings himself to the ring. Similar to Tyrone McKenna, he is a warrior, a gutsy man who he's not just all heart or all action. He has a fantastic amateur pedigree, a good background, and an ability to box, and ability to mix it up, and isn't the fighter that we've seen against Josh Kelly. And if Caoimhin isn't on it, or if Caoimhin thinks that Troy isn't, Troy who fought Josh Kelly is going to not fight me, I don't think he will. I think Troy will have an extra bit in between his teeth here.
I think what's good to see is, obviously, Mick's following in Belfast. There's not just Michael. Like, there's all these young guns coming through, and the ones that are on a cusp of wanting to grab that mantle and say, I can headline. I spoke to Caoimhin a few weeks ago, and I think he truly believes this is going to be that statement performance that pushes him sort of right up there so that he can now headline. And when you've got all these fighters wanting to do that, you must be, like, as obviously now promoter and wanting to put shows on, you must be buzzing.
You have to be, but it's just good to see that finally they're getting the recognition that I've been saying has been for years. For years, even when I was fighting myself, I've been championing the fact that we've always had quality. Now we have quantity. Yeah. We have like a depth of talent that we can always stack a card. If there was another card in 3 months' time in Belfast with a rotated main event and a different card, you could still stack it and make it equally as adequate and 50-50 and high praised. But like, this is the fight, you're right, for Caoimhin that could be is making fight. You know, Troy is the kind of fighter who's going to, again, get in his face, call him out, make him fight, drag him into deep waters, and if he's able to swim with it, then he'll look fantastic. But if he isn't, then he's going to be exposed.
Right. Let's move on to the main event. Obviously, brother Michael versus Jordan Gill. I think it was sort of a fight that's always been touted. I've always heard that name sort of floating around, especially after the Lopez defeat. It was who's Michael going to come back against, and Jordan Gill was always a name that seemed to be circulating along with a few of the foreign fighters with decent records. What do you make of this matchup? Is this a fight that's for both of them really? It's pivotal coming back off. Well, they've both obviously coming back off heavy defeats. Is this like a make or break for both?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the perfect fight for both. Also, I think both will see weaknesses in the game and in the game of each other. I think both probably think style ways. It's a good style matchup. Jordan doesn't like the come forward aggressor, and Megal isn't a come forward aggressor, and Megal was beat by two come forward aggressors technically, in Leigh and Lopez. So it's a style matchup that suits both of them. Jordan training with Ben Davison and co down there probably is taking a bit of confidence also from their knowledge in Michael, and Leigh Whaley's knowledge in Michael, and his in-depth study in there. So there's probably a lot of factors on their decision to take the fight. Whereas a year ago more, he wouldn't spar Michael. So it's a big change to where he is now. He needs the fight because Michael is a name. He is someone who drags him back into the mix. And if he wins or even puts up a good showing, he might have another opportunity, another crack at the whip. So it is a fantastic fight for Michael. It's a great comeback fight because Jordan Gill had a European title. He's a really recognised name. He is stylish. He is slick. He's no pushover. It's not going to be a real walk-in one-round job like a Cream Guerfi. It's a fight. It's a fight that he's up for. It's a fight that kind of gets him going inside. So it's a perfect fight to get back in. You're not going to get a half-arse approach in camp. You're going to get a full approach in camp, and what he's doing with Pedro Diaz now is equivalent to that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think the fact that obviously Jordan's gone to train with Ben, you've Leigh Wood there in the mix, do you think in terms of Michael's preparation that chucks a little bit of spice on it? Because I saw in the interview, and I've obviously speak to Mick quite a bit, and he said that interview was quite nicely, and then all of a sudden it was like a little switch in him. And do you think he will want to almost prove a point, because there was a bit of bad blood between both Diaz and Ben in that build up to the Leigh Wood fight? There was a bit of back and forth. Will that give him that extra bit between his teeth, you think?
I don't think that's what's driving, but I do know, like, when the Leigh Wood fight happened and the loss happened, Gill was very vocal, and he was jumping for joy, and it was noticed, especially because he was down in the gym and he is mates, so you can't kind of fault it. You have to support your friends, but he's that nice guy, and he was a nice guy before it, and then it was his reaction after. I think it was noted. That was all. It was just noted, and then the interview with Matchroom the other day, obviously he was talking nicey, and then he switched, because that's what's going to happen in the fight. That's kind of the mentality he's going to have with Jordan, but it's not he's not going to be emotionally attached to Ben Davison or Leigh Wood as his friend or anything like that. They've got to come to Belfast. They've got to have a feel of Belfast. They've got to understand what it's going to be for them in Belfast, the way it was for us in Manning.
What sort of vibes are you getting from Mick? He's obviously gone and took his new training regime to Miami. Pedro Diaz, a well-established trainer, looks very intricate from the work I've been seeing. Mick seems sort of revitalised, that that it is something different at this stage of his career. What do you make of that relationship and how they've been sort of gelling? It
was one that immediately caught my eye when we were looking at different coaches to go to. We went to 3 or 4 in Miami, and it was a bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We tried all, and there was something we liked in every coach, and then something we didn't like. But with Pedro, he was just right. He had everything. The way he'd set up things up in the gym, his approach, his mentality. Harry thought Michael's attributes should be put in the right direction. Harry thought the weaknesses should be worked on, and just kind of Harry went away daily in terms of his meticulous in his work, very intricate of how you said it. Very, very astute man in terms of boxing, knows his boxing in and out, and just, picks things up, great eye, and just very, like, what was needed, I think, in the next stage for Michael. This stage for Michael, he was needed. And once they kind of got to work together and jail together, you just knew this was the right fit. This is what we're going to see, what we wanted to see with Michael for the past while. And now I'm just looking forward to the first fight. And it's a very good fight because it isn't a gimme. It isn't one where just you're expected to go out and win. It's a test. It's a test because Jordan does a lot of things well, and will be hard to figure out, especially in the early part, to figure out a lot of his key weaknesses and get past the strengths. So Pedro's a really good coach. As you said, he's been there and done it. And when you listen to the stories, and Harry kind of broke down different fights, Margarito, Mayweather, with Cotto, and then Rigo being in the gym as well, coming in, giving pointers and different movements, different techniques. Harry sees things and whatnot. And then when you spoke to Pedro, he'd been watching Michael from the 2012 Olympics and right through the amateur career, and right through, because that's the kind of guy he is. He lives boxing, just watches amateur boxing throughout the day, watches professional boxing, picks up strengths and weaknesses, and then goes through and tries to exploit them. And it is a breath of fresh air. A change is sometimes as good as a rest, and this is what was needed for Mike.
In terms of what could come, this fight is super important. So you're never going to overlook a guy like Jordan Gill, like you mentioned there. He's going to roll over and around. He could offer a number of different styles for Michael, and Michael has got a new training team, so it'll be how they work together. But there's still some mega fights on offer, like for Michael, providing obviously that he got past the Jordan Gill. When you look at the names that are still out there, obviously Leigh was moved up in weight. There's Josh Warrington. Is the goal for Michael, obviously, is it still to become world champion, or is it biggest money? What is it in your
biggest money fights? You're in that realm now at featherweight division where you have, as we spoke about before, we have some fantastic names who are, well, none are world champion now since Leigh has relinquished the belt, but in that level where they can draw massive, fantastic audiences, Michael in Belfast, Josh in Leeds, Leigh in Nottingham. It's unique in a way that fighters around the same division, all of them, if they move up or stay at featherweight, all of them can mix it together and bring massive fights. But you still obviously want to be world champion. What we get in the game as young fighters is the number one, become world champion. Obviously, when you get into it and you start to understand the business end of it, you want to be financially secure. Once you're financially secure, you want to make more money and try to achieve greatness. So the pairing comes together, crosses over. If you can do both, it'll be unbelievable. But yeah, being world champion is definitely first and foremost, as he wanted always that since he was a kid.
You're still fully confident that he'll achieve that in like the next couple of years? Obviously, he was obviously quite understandably very sort of, had enough kind of thing, like as you would. But over time, and obviously with his new training regime, he seems to have, got that love back for boxing. But you're still fully confident, knowing how dedicated he is, how hard he's working, that he'll hit that at some point.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And with the new team, seeing and listening to Pedro and Harry's breaking things down, knowing that we're all the same synergy, we all have the same level, we all have the same understanding of what's being able to be achieved. Pedro kind of gives me even more confidence that it will happen.
Right, finally, I've got to ask you because it's one of the craziest weeks I've been a part of. Fury and Ngannou. Did you see the fight? What did you make of it? Give us your thoughts on it.
I did. I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated by the build-up. It looked like one of the best production value events I've ever seen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the amount of names there was insane. It was an event to behold. The actual fight, I thought Ngannou won. I thought boxing lost. Not just Fury, regardless of the result, I thought boxing lost and Ngannou won.
you had Ngannou up on your sort of.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I think as much as being involved in boxing and our representative in boxing is Tyson Fury wanting him to win, I didn't think he won. I thought he couldn't get past the physicality of Ngannou, the unorthodox nature of Ngannou when he put his arms out and he done the orthodox step back or just kind of held his feet different positions where Fury wasn't expecting him to go, but also he just couldn't get past that strength. Like that seemed like it was his biggest fear, and also that was Ngannou's biggest strength as well, was his strength. So I did. I thought he won. I thought it was close, very close. I thought the knockdown was what changed it and probably having a point up. But regardless of how I was scoring it, and was when I was getting close to actually thinking who won this fight, I just my gut feeling when it ended was that boxing lost.
What do you think? I think boxing lost as a whole. I think when everyone saw the knockdown, everyone was like, "Wow, what we actually seen here?" You know, you never normally see the MMA guy come over and have such an impact. Well, look, Tyson got the nod, and he'll be moving on to Alexander Usyk at some point. Won't be December 23rd by all accounts, but it will happen. Does what you've seen change your opinion on what would happen in that fight, in a Fury Usyk fight?
No, Fury still wins. I still think Fury wins.
So in terms of Ngannou, then, if Ngannou was to fight a Joshua or a Wilder, what happens?
Like, I just think. Do you ever watch Rocky 3? Or no, sorry, Rocky 1, Apollo Creed, when they're in Apollo Creed?
Yeah.
It had a bit of Rocky Rocky 3 feel, as in he wasn't preparing and then he fought Hulk Hogan and done that there stuff, but he wasn't preparing for Clubber Lang. But it feels to me that Apollo Creed is Tyson Fury, and Rocky is fucking Ngannou, and he's all wrong for him, baby. Just that's it. He is all wrong for him. He is too unorthodox. He is just too big. He's too physically strong. He doesn't move like your high level, like he doesn't have the natural fundamentals of a professional athlete, a professional boxer. Yeah. So he moves in a different way, and Fury can't predict it. But Ngannou against the bigger guys, the likes of Wilder could get chinned, and I think he could maybe get chinned by Joshua as well.
But you not think, obviously, because he managed to get older Fury, that if he caught a Wilder, could he not catch Wilder or a Joshua, you think? Well,
yeah, equally. But I just think they can handle the physical presence probably better than a Fury. Fury stays on the outside when it is, and then he attacks at different things. However, he exploits the weaknesses. I didn't think he could find a weakness in Ngannou because of his just being unorthodox, whereas a more fundamentally sound fighter like a Joshua, he would just, I think, make him crumble, because he would exploit his weaknesses and figure out how to break him and get through the fundamentals, similar to what he done with Wilder.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next over the coming months. We're hearing Francis will be back out against another, potentially a top 10 heavyweight. So let's see. But
I'm here for it. I'm all for it now. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
Let's see
it. Sold.
Look, Jamie, I appreciate your time as always. Thanks for giving us a bit of a talk about this Belfast show coming up, and obviously Fury and Ngannou, and we will catch up closer to Belfast and fight night. It's going to be a good one.
I'm looking forward to seeing you there, Irish Matt Lenihan.
I am, you know what I mean? Appreciate your time, bud.
Good man.